Hi everyone, Asim here. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy 2024 to all of our listeners. Wishing you all the best for the coming year. If you didn't know, we had a 3-hour Khandaan live recording on YouTube this past weekend. We discussed our top favorite movies of 2022, which movies we are looking forward to in 24, and we did our review of Merry Christmas. A big thanks to all the people that joined us and interacted with us while we were recording, and also a special thanks to our friend Suchin Malhotra from Film Companion who joined us for this marathon session. The full video is available as a Patreon exclusive, so if you sign up for $1, you can watch the whole thing. And sign up to our newsletter if you want to know when the next live will be. Since it was a very long recording, I decided to split up the episode in 3 parts. The first part, this part, is our review of Sriram Raghavan's new movie starring Katrina, Kaif and Vijay Sethupathy called Merry Christmas. Let's start with the show. Hi, this is Asim.
This is Sujoy.
This is Amrita.
And you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast about the 3 main Khans of the Hindi film industry.
Amir,
Salman,
And Shara.
Hi, you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast regular feed. Thank you so much for your support over the years. We now have a Patreon channel with bonus content and exclusive merch for those of you who would like to support us. Every dollar goes towards creating more and better content. Visit us at patreon.com/Khandaan podcast.
So I just wanted to say first, before the people that are, on the live stream, thank you for joining us. The video of this will be exclusively available on Patreon. So this is now, but this won't be available later on. So if you want to watch our thopadas later on, you have to join Patreon for $1 and then you can, see our pretty faces still. But what we're doing on this episode, we're going to be giving our review of Merry Christmas, Saint Katrina's movie. Yeah. And then we're going to be talking about the 2024 Hindi film release calendar and talking about the movies that we're excited about and the movie that we think is going to be the biggest hit. So let's see. Let's get into Merry Christmas first of all. Suchin, man, you almost didn't want to talk to me about Merry Christmas at all. You seem very angry, so I want to get into this. What were your thoughts on Merry Christmas? What happened here?
Angry is a strong word, but considering everyone else is loving it, it clearly is a me thing. Like, I will not... and you can't say Sriram is a bad filmmaker. But for me, that film is just a whole lot of nothing happening, and then everything happens, but the everything that happens didn't do much for me and definitely didn't make me feel any different about the nothing that happens. It just felt like such a low energy movie to me. Even when things really click into place and he goes full Sriram with the crime element, etc., I was engaged, but I was never really fully thrilled. I didn't feel the tension as much as I should. And I guess the biggest FOMO I have is everyone's talking about the chemistry and the love, and Sriram's made a love story, and that connection between Vijay Sethupathy and Katrina Kaif, very cool, interesting casting. But I didn't feel that. I really didn't. I just felt it was always, the film is always interesting. There's so many things to admire, but it never really gripped me. It's one of those things where, like, beneath the surface there's so much going on, but at any point was I truly invested? Was I feeling their connection or truly thrilled by the stakes, etc.? Not really. It came alive in moments for sure, but overall I just walked away really feeling like clearly there's something wrong with me, but that it just didn't work for me.
Huh, interesting, man. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Yeah.
What a nice.
I think.
What a nice way.
I think it might be a you thing. It might be a you thing. What can I say? Amrita, you watched it this morning, no?
I watched it this afternoon, actually, right before the live. I loved it. I really did. I'm going to be talking a few spoilers. I'm not going to talk like too much. But I did feel a little bit let down by the ending. Like, that is not the ending that I would have wanted. But then I began thinking about the fact that maybe we as an audience have been trained to think that, that it would end with a happy ending, because that's the easy choice to make, right? And that's how what's the line from Om Shanti Om, like हमारी फिल्मों में सब कुछ अंत तक सब कुछ ठीक ठाक हो जाता है, kind of a thing. So I think that was my expectation going into it. And then but then from the point of view of the character, especially Vijay Sethupathy's character, the character of Albert, who is his own worst enemy, and like it makes a lot of sense, like what the ending was ultimately. There is a scene in this film where Katrina and Vijay are sitting in a Kalipili and just driving down, a road in Bombay, which is a very classic Bombay thing to do. Like Suchin lives in Bombay. I'm sure he can like tell you. Everybody has found themselves in a Kalipili in Bombay, like going down with the windows rolled down. And it is, for some reason it just immediately made me think of the Amitabh Bachchan Maushmi Chatterjee song Rim Jim Girisavan, where they're just walking together in the monsoon in Bombay. Like that was the sort of like callback that I got from that scene. And Katrina is just, I literally remember thinking to myself, why hasn't somebody put Katrina in the back of a Kalipili before? Because she just elevates it, it's just like the most gorgeous scene. And they don't like talk, they're just like sitting together in the back of the taxi.
Yeah.
And it's just it's Vijay Sethupathy. I love watching him on screen. Like there is not a single moment that he is on screen that I do not want to know what he's gonna do next. And he's just funny, and he is just like a very attractive man. Katrina and he, like, I really do enjoy their chemistry. I'm really sorry for Suchin that he couldn't feel it, because it really, because it honestly was like a joyful experience, and God knows we all need joy. So I'm just like really sad that Suchin didn't feel it.
I'm very jealous.
Yeah, and it genuinely was like one of the best movie romances that I've seen off late, and I totally bought it that these two people were interested in each other, and I believe that of them in a meta level, and I believe that of them within the movie as well. And it was just it was just fun. I enjoyed it.
Sujoy, what about you? You were sitting next to me, so I kind of know, but tell Amrita, Sujoy, in the live.
So I love the freaking hell out of this movie. It's like I've been thinking about it all morning, and I'm just happy that we started the year in a good way with a Sriram Raghavan romantic movie, which is funny as hell. There's so much fun, cracking jokes in this movie.
Yes.
And for a movie that's called Merry Christmas, it's full of Easter eggs, I just love that Katrina got this movie. What a casting choice! It was, like I said this morning, I would do the same things that Vijay Sethupathy did for Katrina if it was me, in that. I totally believe that anybody would do that for Katrina, and that's why I buy this. I totally buy this. I love the hell out of it. To answer Amrita's question, why didn't they end it with a happy ending? I think that would have been the Drishyam 2 story then, probably like a sequel story for. Or they live in the guilt of having done this and then gotten away with it, but have they really, but here it just neatly closes the film with that story.
Can I ask you guys a spoiler question? Is that okay? Did it affect any of you that he was a murderer, or was that, because they never showed it to us, so that's still, and it wasn't like a sympathetic murder in her case where you, like, I'm defending her murder, I'll help her on it, but his wasn't, right? And did that affect how you guys felt about the character at all?
I think Sriram like pulled a fast one on that. I think by not showing that, and I think that also is the Vijay Sethupathi trump card. I think his performance, his face, his smile, his presence makes us believe that yes, he can murder someone, but also he's a nice person somehow.
Yeah, it's super interesting because we don't see him do it, and because he says that he doesn't remember what happened. That's what he says. I don't remember what happened next. But then they told me, and then I said yes.
Confessed
Like,
it,
you know,
yeah.
like that is how he says it. And that builds, like, that allows you to give in to your need to give him the benefit of the doubt, because up until then, you really like this guy. You know, you're like, oh, he's a bit of a goofball, and look at him dance, and he's such a sweetie. And so you want to believe that, you know, like maybe it wasn't that bad. But then you have that moment where he falls down from the taxi,
Yeah.
and he just gets like really angry, and you see that for like 1 second, and you're just like, okay.
Albert Pinto को गुस्सा क्यों आता है?
That line I
Yeah.
felt was a bit too much on the nose, to be honest. That line was the only line that didn't.
It's coming from Sanjay Kapoor, who is that kind of person, so that made sense for me.
That's on the nose. I think it was like on one hand it was just trying to tell us that like 80s में तो सब थोड़ा थोड़ा murder कर लेते हैं, you know, like that kind of thing, like थोड़ा सा तो सबसे हो जाता था 80s में, you know? But I think the movie itself is like, you know, it's the stories we tell each other and the stories we tell to ourselves. And I think the kind of the mirror was, we never know what Jerome did to Annie, the daughter. And Katrina says that a lot of times. I will never forgive him for it. What he did to her. And you never actually see, or the only image we have is Annie's doll that's broken and like there's blood everywhere. I don't know in what way she was hurt, you know, as a little child, that she went through such a trauma that she stopped talking. And that mirrored with Vijay Sethupathy, that he's unable to talk about what happened. Because he just doesn't remember. So I think that was kind of that, and it's that world that Sriram creates, which is kind of pulpy, a thriller, but also like a romantic love track in the 80s. And I think it also has that, you know, one night it happened, you know, like kind of vibes in it. And I think when you create that mishmash, it didn't matter to me that much that Sethupathy, okay, sure, Thora murder to ho jata, you know. And I also just was still blown away by Radhika Apte showing up. You know, like, I did not see that coming. I did not know. I was like, what? She's in this too? This is so awesome. And he's making dosa for her. What's his technique like? You know, that's the cooking. Like, iski technique kaisi hai, meri kaisi, you know, that kind of thing. Katrina is my Bitcoin, yaar. Like, I'm the kind of bro that was on this, like, you know, 15 years ago, and now everybody's catching up and, like, you know, like, maybe invest karna chahiye tha, you know? No, I'm so happy, man. I like, she's so radiant in this movie. Like that Khali Biri scene that you're talking about, like her hair. Like, it's just so beautiful. Like, the way, and there's nothing, it's just framing, right? The way he frames her face. I don't know why nobody else has done that. Like, people are doing this with her abs and her, you know, her curves and her legs and whatever, but just stay on her face. And that's what it needed, right? And I just feel it's so pretty the way it's done, but it's also so pretty in the character that Sriram has created, right? Like, and Katrina has that kind of thing where she has lived a life, and I think the character has lived a life, and I think that's what's shown in Maria's character, and I think it's just amazing. The letting her just be loose. When have we seen Katrina dance without any choreography? It's literally never happened before. Me and Sujoy were laughing. She's incapable of badly dancing, even when she has to badly dance. And Vijay Sethupathy seems to be unable to dance well, even if he's supposed to badly. Like, it's such a, and it works. It's such a joyous moment that they have together.
The dance scene was
delightful. And like the dress she's wearing and the kind of how she's shaking that glass because she has a plan, and it's a bit too much the way she's doing it, but she's a bit nervous, and there's all of these little things, I think. And then at the end of the movie, me and Sujoy basically were just gasping and guffawing at the audacity of those last 20 minutes, the tension that it builds up and the release it gives us. For me, it was just amazing. I just totally fell in love with this movie. It was kind of like floating on a 4 on 5 in my letterbox rating, and then that ending where he puts the ring on her, and the meaning of that ring, letting go, more than and her letting him put it on her finger. It had so much meaning, and it had so much of that tragic love that people in the 80s are constantly talking about, and now listening to ghazals and stuff like that because of that. I just thought it had all of that, and that's why I love the movie. I think, like Sujo said, it's such a good start of the year for me. I've been catching up with a lot of older movies from last year and stuff like that, and then I just went crazy watching like 80s movies, and getting into 2024 with Merry Christmas. And it's also a very nice January movie. You know what I mean? Like January is that month where not the big releases used to come. At least Pathan has changed that formula a little bit, but kind of like slept under movies. And it's kind of that slept under movie that is delivering more. I'm just sad that it didn't for you, Sachin.
I'm genuinely jealous of all of you, but I'm so glad you guys liked it.
Oh, I watched this with a play director friend of mine, and she was not impressed with the costume department. She kept saying, like, if this was supposed to be a time period before the 2000s, then the hair was wrong, and the shoes were wrong, like all of those things.
More with Vijay Sethupathy, I felt, than with Katrina. I don't think you could get that curly hair that Katrina waviness she has in the 80s, but like Vijay Sethupathy just looked like he came out of the cab and he was in the 80s or something like that. That fit did not work in terms of 80s. I agree.
Do you think the Tamil version will be significantly different?
I saw a couple of tweets saying that the Tamil version was much better. I think his role... apparently they shot it in both languages. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I do think his role really requires a mastery of language, which obviously Hindi is not his first language. And I feel like I watched that film and I was like, I would love to watch the Tamil version of this just to see what he does with it. And a couple of people have literally said that they chose to watch the Tamil version and it's actually much better.
Oh, maybe I'll watch it in Tamil as well then.
Me too.
I just love accents though. Like I love Vijay Sethupathy's Hindi. Like it has that, like that accent, and the way he kind of like, the rhythm is a bit off, and the rhythm of the movie is slightly off, and I think that gelled really well. But I want to see Katrina speak Tamil because that I have not done yet. So that's going to be exciting. Do you sometimes feel that though, that when we're watching a movie that it's not in your language, we give it more grace. We give it kind of like a more positive rating because we don't necessarily get all the nuances and things like that. Like I was watching Lady Vengeance the other day. Sorry, Sujay, who's the director? Park Chan-wook. Yeah. I hadn't seen that one, or I thought I hadn't seen it, so I was watching it on movie. And there's a character who has a very odd haircut, And I was like, I don't know what that haircut means. Like when Paresh Rawal comes in a certain dress, they never explain it in a movie, but we understand what that dress means, right? But when I'm watching a Korean movie, I don't get what the implication of that weird haircut is. And I was wondering, like, do we do that when, it's a language you don't speak? So the people that said that the Tamil version is better, were they Hindi speakers or Tamil speakers?
I don't actually know. I mean, I just saw it. But I think one of them was a Hindi speaker, which I found very interesting. But it's a very good point. I could also argue that if you watch a film in a different language and you don't get the nuances and you still love it, even if you're watching it at 80% of what it is, and you still love it based on that 80%, I mean, that's also a different kind of fan.
Yeah. No, both. Yeah, that's true. That's true too. So, what do you think, Suchin? Do you think it's like, because you're hearing so many positives about it, you didn't have that feeling? Is it you thinking I should rewatch it like in a 6-7? It's going to come out on Netflix, right? I saw the big logo flash.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I will, but I would love to rewatch it because I don't know. I mean, there clearly is so much in this film that I didn't feel, and I want to. I really want to feel that love. I really want to feel that unlikely connection because it seems to do the thriller stuff really well, which I did enjoy, and it does, and the tension stuff, even though I didn't feel it quite to that extent, and it clearly seems to do this unlikely love story and chemistry and connection well, and it really does make me want to revisit it. Also, putting my experience aside, I think it is a kind of film you would actually appreciate in a very different way on second viewing. Once you know what the jig is, I imagine your second viewing would be
more rewarding,
a lot more interesting. Yeah.
Just to get a little spoilery to one more thing I want to mention, like that whole idea of how the murder is planned is so insane. Like it is so bloody bonkers.
I did not see that coming. Are you familiar with the source
No.
material? It's apparently either a book or a movie called Le Montage.
I think it's a book, no?
It's like, is it a book?
I
I
thought
don't
it's a
know.
book.
Like I don't know, but it's in French and it's called Le Montage. Like I
I've
don't know
not
what
heard
it
of
is.
it. No, I hadn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that, like, I think if we start pulling the threads out, like, how can that be? You know, it wouldn't stand up to that kind of scrutiny, right? But like, I think in the idea of it, I think it kind of works in terms of, you know, creating these two separate realities. You know, no, I just thought it was. I had a really, and also just the reveal of the Santa thing, right? With the whole the caged bird kind of thing. Again, the caged bird.
That's what I mean. Like, you know, Albert is his own worst enemy. Like, he just sets himself up for failure every single time. And the weird thing was, like, I knew that about him within, like, I think the first 10 minutes. And I was actually trying to think why I knew that about him. What was it that what information did Sriram give me through the narrative that allowed me to build that bridge and know that about this character? And I want to watch the movie again to like actually know what that was. God, he's just such a good, clever filmmaker. I love it. Like,
So somebody tweeted yesterday, or was it a letterbox review? I think so. They said Sriram Raghavan reminds me of those guys who, in their teens, read a lot of crime novels, and I'm thankful for it. This movie, like we watched it on Friday night, obviously prime time. You know, just the beginning of the weekend, and it was a packed house of audience in London for a Vijay Sethupathy, Katrina, Sriram Raghavan movie.
I was going to say, I really hope it makes money. I mean, regardless of what I thought, we need, something that isn't big in spy universe and whatever. I really hope it makes money.
Like, Andhadhun made a lot of money in China, like a lot more than the Indian box office.
But that's the problem, right? Like, if Andhadhun released today, would it make money? That's the problem. Like, so many films of the last 10 years, a lot of Ayushmann Khurrana films, which are like Badai stuff that we loved, the sleeper hits, the smaller films, which weren't about big stars or big action or whatever, that became the best films of the year. You know, if they released today, I suspect that they would do something, but would they do what they did then? So you want to know that there's space for all kinds of movies and not just whatever spies kicking whoever's ass that week.
It seems to be. I found Le Montage on IMDb. It is a movie that came out in 1962, starring Robert Hussein and Léa Massari. Director is Marcel Blual, and it seems actually to be a remake. Pretty much, the plot seems exactly the same thing. So it's not a movie I've heard of, but I'd be keen to seek it out. Actually, I'm quite interested to see what the similarities are.